Monopoly has Monopoly money. Catan has Catan money. And Magic the Gathering has land, the primary game resource, the battery with the energy needed to cast dragons, robots, lightning bolts from the sky. And if you play Magic, you know just having land already makes you the happiest little goober in the play group. But there are some sick little freaks out there who like to dip their chips, take a bite, and dip it one more time. And that's what Landfall is, the strategy for double dipping psychopaths. Now you might be asking yourself, what is Landfall? Well, to put it into layman's terms, it's basically a mechanic that pays you for doing the basic function of the game, the most simple game action there is, like breathing. Look at AC. Ignore that for this moment. Whenever a land you control enters, you may draw a card. So now land says, hey, it can tap for mana, also draw a card, by the way. Now the thing is, you're always gonna play lands. If you have a land, you're gonna play it. There's not exactly a chess move you can make. There's no decision. If you have land, you're gonna play it. Even if this guy had no text on him whatsoever, you play the land. You have to, because that's what the game is about. And that's why you're double dipping. You're getting a resource for free. You already just want the land, but getting more on top of it is double dipping. Anyway, AC also says, hey, you can play an additional land on each of your turns. So you play one land. We're already happy with that. We get a second land. That's putting us ahead of the curve. Not to mention, we also draw cards when those lands enter. I would consider this even a triple dipper from Chili's with how much dipping we're doing with this one singular card. Pretty nuts. But honestly, how bad can it be? You know, Tatiova's 5 mana. When a land enters, we draw a card, we gain a life. Okay? We got Oban, Moldaya, Ancestor. Land enters, we put a +1 counter on a thing. That's not bad. Bristly Bill, hey, land enters, put a steroid on it. Don't worry about that. We got Omnath, +1 steroid, draw a card sometimes. We got Necro Bloom, we make a plant, we make a zombie, don't worry about the dredge. And these cards are strong, but I mean, people are fully assembling Exodia in games of Magic these days. So what gives? Well, you know, everybody only gets 1 land per turn. Sometimes, you know, people can play cards that give them additional lands. So let's say maybe they get 2 lands per turn, which is still pretty strong, but I mean, it's not the strongest. So what's going on? You know, the Landfall players obviously have something in mind, some evil trick up their sleeve. And that would be the sack lands, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, the rainforests, the hideouts, the fabled passages, all of which give double landfall triggers. Because let's not forget, Landfall players are double dipping freaks. But wait, there's more. You see, when you sack the Evolving Wilds, tapping it, blowing it up to go get a basic land, that Evolving Wilds takes a nice trip on the river Styx with Chiron, down to the fields of Elysium, where it spends the rest of its beautiful days. Just kidding. Because we got cards like Ramunap Excavator. 3 mana, we may play lands from our graveyard. We got Steven, Genesis Shepherd. Hey, we can play lands from our graveyard now. And guess what? Crucible of Worlds, a classic 3 mana artifact. You can play lands from your graveyard. We got Life from the Loam. Hey, return a bunch of lands from our graveyard to our hand, and we can dredge 3, meaning we can just cast this over and over again. Splendid Reclamation. Hey, 4 mana, put all those lands from our graveyard onto the battlefield once. Pretty nuts. And that's not to mention Ancient Green Warden, 6 mana, evil. You can play lands from our graveyard, and we get double landfall. Yeah, so each land is now 2 lands. So if it's a sack land, it's actually 4 land. Nasty. Because a land entering causes it to trigger twice. Nasty. Not to mention the Golden Child. Everyone's talking about it. Ice Till Explorer. This baddie does everything. 4 mana. Hey, guess what? You get an additional land. So now you get twice the land you should. And you can play those lands from the graveyard. So if it's a sack land, you play it, you sack it, you get a land. Then you play it from your graveyard, you sack it, you get another land. That's 4. If you see what I'm doing, 2 times 2. And when a land enters, you mill a card, which could be good because you can mill a land, which you can then play from your graveyard. It's nasty. And you're dipping and then dipping again. You're getting rewarded for playing the game as intended. Anyways, you can expect to see anywhere between 2 to 3 landfall triggers happen on the lower end of things. It really depends on how much additional land they got, how much graveyard and sack lands they got going on. It's a lot. But now I'm going to transition into more of a public service announcement for what are the most common cards you're going to run into when you're looking at evil Landfall player Psychopath dead in their ocular sockets. Scoot Swarm, the Landfall card. 3 mana. Basically, whenever a land enters, you make a 1/1 insect. If you have 6 or more lands, you create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm. Now, this card is not cute, but it is going to lead to a swarm because it's a math problem. If you have 1 Scoot Swarm and you play a land, you now have 2 Scoot Swarm. And then you play another land, you have 4. You play 1 more, or you sack a land and get another land, or some other shenanigans you got going on. Now you got 4 more Scoot Swarms. You play a Cultivate, bing, bada, boom. You are swarming. You are dipping, and then you are dipping again because playing land is already good. We've established that. Anyways, Lotus Cobra, 1 and a green. Hey, you know how when you play land, you want it because it gives you a mana? Well, now you get 2 mana. You get 1 mana for a little bit amount of time, thanks to Lotus Cobra. You know, dipping, and then dipping a goddamn second time. What about Tireless Provisioner? 3 mana. Hey, you know how land gives you mana? Well, what if Tireless Provisioner gave you another little bit of mana in the form of a treasure that sits around, doesn't even go away like Lotus Cobra? You're dipping, and then you're double dipping again. And no one ever chooses the food option. It's always the treasure. Anyway, Avenger of Zendikar. My goodness. This guy enters, and you're going to make a barrel of monkeys, but plants, because you're going to make a 0/1 for each land you control. And then when a land enters, you can turn them into a late game version of Plants vs. Zombies, where now you are making all the little sunshine you need to overpower your opponents. I miss Plants vs. Zombies. Anyways, how do these double dippers even win the game? Well, let's look at Omnath, Locus of Rage. He's 7 mana, but you're playing a lot of land, so that means nothing to you. When a land enters, you make a 5/5. That's a lot. 5/5s do a lot of damage if they're, unblocked. And then they do damage when they die. So it's a win-win. You're double dipping already. And there's Rampaging Baloths, which is Rampaging Omnaths at home. And you get a 4/4. And that's pretty cool. There's also, of course, Necrobloom, making a bunch of zombies, especially when we can dredge up our Fabled Passage over and over again. And then it's World War Z, where they're scaling up the wall, and we're getting beaten by creature tokens. Now, of course, that is if you're lucky, because not everyone does the, token strategy. But it's at this point, I need to stop the video right here. Because you see, I have a confession to make. I love Duskmourn, and I bought the Jump Scare Precon with Zamone, who has Landfall, and is based around a lot of Landfall, because I naively dreamed that I could manifest Dread and then play an additional land and flip it into an Omniscience to do a lot of really cool stuff. And I became what I swore to destroy, someone who double dips. I wanted my cake and to eat it too. That is, of course, until I played it, and I realized, man, those Landfall players are onto something. I became what I swore to destroy. Scoot Swarms, AC Tire, Giant Smates, Tatsiova, Royal Elemental. My God, it was horrifying. And that's the thing. I never won in a way that didn't leave me feeling like I was going to have to do a walk of shame later. Because even though I won, it felt like it wasn't earned. The only game actions I would take was play a land, and then things would happen around it. Like Cookie Clicker. You just click, 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 but you never really win. Except instead of cookies, obviously, it's islands. But I reformed. And so can you. Instead of cultivating for Omnath, Locus of Creation, where you can get a million landfalls, gaining life, adding mana, whatever, I don't want to talk about it. Instead, what happened to good old big-ass creatures like Galta, a 12/12, like Atali, a banger, like Progenitus, my sweet, sweet boy? That's what mana is for. That's what land matters is all about. You see, you should be a Chad, not a Chud. You see what I mean? Your days of double dipping are over. And if you do like to double dip, all I can say is just play better. Otherwise, I'm going to put you in the institution because you're a psychopath who just wants value off of doing the thing the game wants you to do anyways. That brings us to the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. Shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. You guys keep the lights on. If you want to join them, hey, guess what? You can get your deck roasted or helped out by me, or I'll build you a custom commander deck all on my lovely Twitch, Quips&Guac_. Follow me, please. Anyway, I've also got a Discord linked in the description down below. It's fun and free and cool. And yeah, what do you want me to slander next? Leave that in the comments down below. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.